But science, by definition, allows for more than one opinion. Otherwise, you merely have the will of one man, which is the basis of cult.
If it's not in frame, it doesn't exist.
I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not gonna take this anymore!
I'm funny how? I mean funny like I'm a clown, I amuse you?
Where you been?
Drunk.
Wendy, darling, light of my life.
What's your one purpose in life?
To explode, of course.
I like death with sex. How about you, Casey? You like sex with death? Yeah, so fuck up and die.
Yeah, that was some tech talk I didn't need.
We get our waveforms linked, baby.
It's like that
We
meant
gotta get on
nothing to me.
the same wavelength.
Hey, Mary, how much talking have you done today already?
Actually, I've done a pretty fair amount of talking today with clients and stuff like that.
Well, get ready to talk more because me and Jordan are taking a back seat. This is the
That's
Mary
absolutely
special.
not. I really have nothing that interesting
Go-
to say.
this-
I have no clue
We're
what I'm
going.
going to talk
This
about.
is the Cult of Cinema Knowledge podcast. Our host Mary Robinson is here today to lead us. Take it away.
You want more silence?
No, obviously. So I'm Levi. This is my lovely wife with us. Mary, say hi.
Hi.
And then my husband, Jordan.
Yeah. Podcast wife is here.
Yeah. So this, you may be wondering, why is Mary here? What the fuck? This is odd. It's
Who the
usually
hell
just
invited
these
her?
two dudes screaming in a vacuum. If you were actually on the Reddit and paid attention, you might know that she picked all the movies for this month. And so the first movie we watched of the month was the 2005 Pride and Prejudice that does not star Rachel Weisz. I put that in the description. I said it stars Matthew McFadden and Rachel Weisz because I get her and what's her name? Keira Knightley. I get them mixed up like every time.
Yeah, he started talking. We started the movie, and he was like, "So Rachel Weisz," and I was like,
She's the
don't
chick
know who
from
that
Pirates
is.
of the Caribbean. She's not.
No, dude. So Keira Knightley.
Is.
You know, but no, what's funny? You mistaked Keira Knightley, and I couldn't forget that it was Keira Knightley in this movie. I mean, this is the first time I've ever seen it. But anyways, I thought that the dude. Oh my God, crap! What's his name? I thought that the Matthew
McFadden
Willard or whatever, Matthew McFadden. I thought that was the guy from. Oh my God, what's his name? Oh, McAvoy or whatever.
James McAvoy?
James McAvoy.
Yeah.
I thought it was James McAvoy. So when this movie started, I was excited to see James McAvoy, and I didn't see his name in the credits.
Yeah.
And then when Mr. Darcy showed up, I was like, ew, this is horribly British.
Who's McAvoy?
Disgusting fucking piece of toast.
Well, now I need to know who you think, like who you were expecting
James
Mr.
McAvoy.
Darcy to be.
James McAvoy.
I don't know who that is.
He's Magneto in the prequel is what I always think of for some reason.
No, show me a picture or something.
What's the glass? Oh my God, this is driving me insane.
Yeah, it's glass. Glass.
Is it? No, it's
What are
not
you
glass.
talking
Was
about?
it glass?
Yeah, well, there's two of them. One's called
This is a Google away, so just
No, what's the glass?
Glass is the
other
it's
one?
called
Unbreakable.
glass.
Unbreakable glass. No, there's another one that ties it together.
Yeah, glass is the second one.
you
He's
thought
got all the multiple
he was gonna be
personalities?
Mr. Darcy.
It would have been kind of. I love.
I don't know about
I love
that.
Matthew McFadden because I'm a big Succession stan, and he's obviously all I can think about is him in Succession. But I think James McAvoy, especially in 2005 or whatever, would have been perfect. Actually,
Would have been so much better, dude. That's who I thought it was. I don't know
He's-
why.
You know why he can't be? This is my point. He looks like a golden retriever and not a broody mister.
Oh,
yeah. I mean, he could be pretty broody though.
You know?
Yeah,
Mr.
can
Darcy has to be a brood. He can't be a golden retriever. And
wasn't
McAvoy
brooding.
there
He
looks a golden retriever.
He was a moody
Look at that
Judy's
fucking
bummer
smile.
He was
looks like
literally
he was
in
supposed to
Atonement
smile.
with Keira Knightley, which is this director's next movie.
That's why. Thank you. Oh my God, that's the connection. It
Yeah.
was driving me nuts. I couldn't figure out
Yeah.
why I thought he was in it because they basically are in the same. This is just Pride and Prejudice, but
Atonement's
War I.
World War One, yeah. Which I need to see all
never
of
seen that.
Atonement. I really want to because it's like a romance. And I heard it's
You can't
incredible.
turn to look at me because your voice goes
I
away.
know. Now I'm trying to think of like the main James McAvoy thing that I'm thinking of.
Well, he's
But
not
is
even
that-
in this
what-
movie, so we should just move on.
Yeah, I guess so.
James McAvoy's so good, and I wish that he was him because I did not like Matthew McFadden at all, and he was my least favorite part of this movie.
I love him,
What?
but yeah, I mean, Yeah, he was
I want
boring.
Mary to
He's
do
basic.
Mary, you got to do the synopsis.
I did, I
for-
said that.
for
Absolutely
everybody.
not doing the synopsis.
Come on,
I have
Come on, you
Some-
no, it's just you give us the rundown. What is this movie about?
For those who haven't
Boy
watched
meets
it,
girl, fall in love.
that's
end.
lame. All right,
Oh, okay.
you can watch us stumble through it. So, oh god, I don't. This honestly, and I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna get looks, and I'm gonna sleep on the couch tonight. But this movie was so forgettable to me that I'm having a hard time remembering the plot, like all the intricacies, because it's the two families. It's the two families, right? And it's like Lizzie is like the middle sister of five sisters of this other family. That's like they're not poor, but they're poorer.
Sister, she's the second.
Well, that's like the middle of five.
The middle. There's
No,
three middle
that's
sisters.
the third.
There's
The
three.
third. If there's five, the
Three.
third
If you're
is
not
the
the
middle.
if you're not the oldest
That's how
and you're
math
not the
works.
youngest, you're the middle.
Oh my
Yeah.
god.
But so her older sister, I almost said, oh my god, this is a disaster. What's her name? I was saying it the whole time.
Right, Anna.
Sorry, what is your question? I'm still stuck on the fact that you thought it was forgettable, and I'm offended. So, what is your question?
What's the
So Jane.
The
Jane
oldest
is the
sister.
oldest sister.
is what's her
And-
face?
It's Rosamund Pike. or
Rosamund
whatever.
Pike. Duh.
Rosamund Pike is the oldest sister. Okay, let's just we're both doing a terrible job at describing this movie, and every female listener we've ever had has stopped.
That's
listening
why.
forever.
That's why Mary's
But-
got to do it. Her synopsis
What?
is
I don't
basic.
know how you guys do a normal synopsis of it. Like, I don't. You know what I mean?
Okay.
They,
The easiest way to do it is it's the Bennett the Bennett family. This takes place at like the end like the end of the 17th century. Or wait, yeah.
Yeah, right, 1800s ish, right in there.
18, well, it's yeah.
The
it's
book
like-
was written in
it's like-
1812, so whatever. So yeah,
The
late.
book, the book was written in 1797.
Was
my
it?
Good friend.
I saw
Yes,
1812 for some
The book
reason.
was written in 1797 under the title First Impressions.
Oh,
Jane
please.
Austen got her shit out there, and then she got like published later in like an article. and
Okay,
then
it was
she got
published in
money-
1812 then.
It was
did
published
not
in
know
1812.
that. Thank you for
And that's
that
why-
fact.
And that's why everyone thinks that like it takes place during 1812, but it's technically a little sooner than that, and so it kind of reflects on like the war and everything.
This is
It's, like,
this
right
is
at the
actually
end
a
of the-
history podcast of Victorian era
Yeah, but this is-
England.
No, it's so funny. That's the thing. I'm not an Anglophile or whatever. Like I don't know jack shit about England during this time. Like it's a little too early. Like even like I know a little bit of American stuff during like the 1800s, but then it's like until like 1850.
Why
nothing
would
really
we?
happened.
Why fucking yeah? Why fucking would we? I
It
don't
was all-
know. I wish I
it's all
did,
just
but
fur trading. It's all First Cow. Just go watch First Cow, and that's American history. Up until
I think it's like in our
1880s.
contract to each other that we have to mention First Cow every single episode since we saw it because we have.
Yeah, 2024 is First Cow amendment there. But
Anyway,
anyways,
he
Anyway,
needs-
so
he's-
it's about this Bennett family.
He's a
right?
broody.
Bennett family, 5 sisters. They're all single, and they're all
out in
they have, like,
society.
it's summer of love. Yeah, they all want to get married because that's the only way that they will have any societal standard or whatever.
Protection.
Like societal standing. Yeah, protection. Right. Because it's like when the dad dies, the house goes to that cousin, the wormy dude, the
wormy.
Women couldn't
priest.
own property.
Mr. Collins.
Uh-huh.
I remember that
Yeah,
guy.
Collins. So the estate goes to Mr. Collins, and so he's like a far removed cousin or just a second cousin or whatever. And so he's trying to marry Jane, the oldest. Jane is like she's got the yuck, and
And
she doesn't want to be
she's
anywhere
betrothed to fucking
near that stinky dick. But-
Bennington, Bingham, Mr. Bingham. That's
Yeah.
right.
Well, that's the thing. Yeah, she has eyes for Bingham.
Mr. Bingham's
And then-
friend is Mr. Darcy, who's super
Mr.
Right.
Darcy.
moose, and that's James McAvoy. Is Mr.
Yeah,
Darcy?
he should have been.
Yeah.
He really should have
And
been.
he's very broody, but then she's like, "Oh, he's an asshole," and hears about all this stuff about him, and is like, "I don't like him." And then, but they keep having to come into contact with each other, and he's like, "Oh, I'm like secretly loving you," and then he finally like is like, "Oh, I actually really like you," and all her things, and she's like, "Oh, but I heard you're a big piece of shit, and you blah blah blah. You stabbed your childhood friend in the back, and you got my sister's betrothment ruined." And he's like, "Well, actually," and then he like actually gave her his side of things, and then she's like, I was wrong all along.
Okay,
And
you're acting.
But you're getting it mixed up. So Elizabeth and Mr. Darcy are the one that have that's the main narrative in this.
Lizzie.
It's their love. It's their love story.
Lizzie.
Basically how they become
It's Elizabeth.
together.
They call her Lizzie. I don't know why we're being.
It's they call the family calls her
Elizabeth
Lizzie.
Bennett. They called her Lizzie.
And then
Lizzie.
I call her
Lizzie.
Miss Darcy. But
Yes. Good.
yeah. But anyways, so yeah, that's basically it. It just follows their love story, and they have like a tit for tat, and like Elizabeth, she's older and she's feeling the pressure to move on, but she doesn't want to be with Mr. Darcy because he's brooding and he's rude, and there's like a miscommunication, kind of a classic like sitcom scenario, and so like she finds out later, oh, Mr. Darcy's like a cool dude, and he pays for Jane's wedding with Mr. Bigley or whatever,
Bingham.
and then
Bingley or Bingham?
I think it's Bingley.
Bingley.
Lee with an L. Let me
Bingley
look
or
at
Bingham?
It's Bingley. Yeah.
Fake
Bingley
fan.
sounds right. Yeah. Okay.
But anyways, so it's happily ever after.
Mr. Bigley.
Elizabeth and Mr. Darcy. Dude, I loved Bingley. He
Well,
was great.
he
And then
was.
His sister was all snooty.
It was the
Caroline
worst,
Bingley.
yes.
She's like, you don't know how to walk around a room properly, you fat cow. And Keira Knightley's like, oh god.
Yeah. Like, it was definitely, this movie is definitely very, like, it's just like all the characters, it's very just like the societal standards of the time. And then it's just like, so all the interesting stuff was, like, I liked getting all the story and getting all the background for all the characters, but like, every time they would have Mr. Darcy and Elizabeth would have a scene together, that it's like those were like the charged moments that you're there for, but I feel like they were like kind of few and far between. And so I kept like being like, I want more of that because I don't give a fuck about this other stuff. Like, it's fine. And it's obviously point of the story, but like, this movie's not about the plot. You know what I mean? It's like all the intricacies. It's like, no, it's just they have a weird social misunderstanding. And then she's like, oh, actually, the other guy lied and he's a crook and I didn't understand his true intentions and he did this because he actually has a heart of gold.
Well, it's one of the
And he's brooding
classic
'cause his dad never
romance
loves him.
Miscommunication trope,
Oh, yeah.
right?
Yeah,
Classic miscommunication trope.
You got the tropes.
Oh, you do have the tropes. The brooding, first off.
Yeah.
Is that what got you hot under the collar there, Mary?
Oh, it is a thing. I was telling Levi, like, what makes Mr. Darcy so attractive, right? And it is the brood, right? And it is the fact
the
that
emo haircut
and
and
I don't
sideburns.
wanna,
That was me in high school.
I don't want to speak for all women, but I think for a lot of women, it's the fact that someone could be like that moody kind of guy, but then he somehow is like totally in love with you and like really nice to you though, but he seems like a grump to the rest of the world. Eat that shit up. Eat that shit up. Mm-hmm.
I can change him. That's my.
Don't necessarily want to change him. I just want to be the exception to how he treats the rest of the world. Right?
That is true. And it doesn't hurt that he's very rich.
That does not hurt.
So much. He has like fucking museum money. Like this motherfucker's got like.
He's got a bust of his head in his fucking like living room. That's like a museum.
But that was the point of Elizabeth, right? It was the money was not as big a deal for her, and that was her whole point. Well, in a society at that time, right, where marrying for money was the point, so that you could have security, because that was your only way to survive at that time. Like that's what made and I'm speaking for, I guess, the book, which I've never totally read, but they consider it to be one of the first feminism books, is because she looked at marriage differently, right? And she looked at like women in society a little differently, even though we look at it now and are like, damn, for what it was at the time, right? It was pretty.
Well, she's the best. She's like by far in a way, like she's a great character. And Keira Knightley, not Rachel Weisz, played her excellently. Like she was super charismatic and like all the like emotional scenes. I thought like she got an Oscar nomination, and I think rightfully so. I can't believe the cinematography didn't get nominated. I had a look.
Dude, I was actually, that was like my favorite thing. It had so much movement. I was like, I was impressed with it. Like, I was thinking just the latest movie that we watched. Mary, did you watch a Portrait of a Woman on Fire?
Sure didn't.
Portrait of a Lady on Fire.
Or Lady on Fire, or whatever. That movie seems more period accurate in my opinion, but I don't know, it's got a stylistic choice to it, which I enjoyed. It's like the color palette of that movie is beautiful, but like this movie felt so lively, and it kept the momentum going, and I think it helped like bridge the book, because the book like takes place over years. It's like a lot longer of a story. The kids are growing up, and it's like a couple years where
I thought it was
they go through their love trials, and so I think it moved it along really well.
Yeah, the movement really stood out to me, because not only was the cinematography great and the blocking amazing and the fucking composition, but it's just like I liked The Favorite so much, which is like another Victorian movie, because it takes this era which is very shot well, and it like kind of flips the way it's shot on its head, because it's like traditionally these are very like you want to be every frame of painting, you know what I mean? It's very standard.
The precedent.
Right. Everything's on sticks the whole time. And so it's like this movie, there's like the most impressive one is like the second ball, like in the middle of the movie, where that sweeping one shot through the entire ball, and it's like going through the crowds. It's like following all the characters. Like
his sisters are drunk. The two younger sisters.
Yeah, so good. And it's just like it captures, because I was thinking about it, I'm like, this is just like a house party. This isn't like some grand ball like
it was a ball.
I know, but it wasn't like, when I was thinking of ball, I was thinking of War and Peace, the balls in War and Peace, which are like fucking insane.
But if you notice in the movie, they do talk about how that ball was a private ball.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, the private ball's nice because they're like your conversation at a private ball, you have more selection of who to talk to. It's not just like a random gathering by townspeople.
Well, it showed the energy of it, though, even though it was more contained. Like, had it just been cutting to, like, here's a two-shot, here's this person talking to this person, just like traditional cuts, like, it would have been so boring, like, it could have been anywhere, but it really gave a sense of the space and, like, the sense of the momentum and the energy, right? And it's like, for this kind of like Victorian era movie, you don't see that as much, and so that was like the best part.
I think it's interesting because I've seen this movie probably like 12 times at least, right? And I think that watching it with you was probably the first time that I've ever actually tried to pay attention to anything like technical like that, about like it being a one
I know,
shot,
the whole time you're just juicing over there about, look at the hand clench.
The Mr. Darcy hand clench is
the hand
a very
flex.
important part of culture, okay?
Fast forward to the scene with the hand flex.
I think, and I pay attention to the story, right? Like the epic love story compared to like what you guys pay attention to. Like even the actors, the fact that you guys know who they are, I don't give a shit. I don't.
We don't clearly. We do not know who they are.
I want to remember him as Mr. Darcy.
Rachel
I
Weisz
don't want to put him in any other movie. He is Mr. Darcy, right?
No, it's Tom Wamsgums.
No, yeah, dude. So can I just say something real quick about characters? Speaking of this, I mean, it's like it's I don't know if you know this, Mary, but it's pretty popular out there. Like I just found it online. But the director, whatever his name is, I don't even remember.
It's like Joe Wright, I think.
Right, yeah, Joe Wright. He didn't want Keira Knightley in this because he thought she was like too attractive. And I just think that's like she like is like, it's so funny that the character is supposed to be like Mr. Darcy. Like originally when he sees her, he's like, oh, she's not that attractive, and I'm like, it's Keira Knightley.
Yeah.
It's like,
that's what I was saying. At the beginning I was like, come on, she's too hot.
And
like they just messed her hair up a little bit.
The less attractive of her and Jane, and that's just truly not the case with Keira Knightley.
It's like Rosamund Pike is hot, but she's not Keira Knightley hot.
And I like it because it's like all the sisters are very conventionally attractive. Where it's like they show like the friend who ends up marrying the cousin, the priest cousin. The friend, I'm like, well, yeah, she's just kind of a normal looking. She's attractive, but like she's more normal looking, if you will, in the conventional sense. And so it's just fun. I love how it's like the backdrop where like all the sisters are like
the horrible
like,
mom
like
calls her
stars.
plain. Yeah,
I know
that mom was the fucking worst though. Like I couldn't stand her.
Yeah.
I kind of liked her. I thought
she was the villain though, but she was interesting.
She's meddling. I wouldn't say she's a villain. There's not really necessarily like
she's
villains.
She's like everything is like her own. Like she's like her own self interest is kind of all she really cares about. She's like, what do you think about anything else but marrying your daughters? But yeah, meddling is
But
fuck.
that was because again of the situation
But
of the time.
She didn't care.
I
I
get
know.
it. If the only way for your kids to survive was to marry off, you'd be pretty worried about how they're gonna get married too. You know.
I know.
I mean,
we're gonna marry
a societal.
But yeah, she played
our daughter
they
to
wrote
her uncle.
they wrote her to the part of having like anxious nerves and her being like that was her character.
Oh, it was well done. I like
so.
the like. Obviously, where they lived was beautiful, but I like kind of like their home setting, and that's what felt very like.
Oh God, that little country cottage.
What was
what's
that other movie? Little Women or something, where it's just like all these sisters in this like house, and I kind of liked that vibe, especially because it's like you got Donald Sutherland as the dad, and he's just like this old like, just keep me out of it. Like he's kind of like chill, but also just kind of like all these girls doing their things, and his fucking meddling wife, and when he stands up and goes against her when she's like, you will marry your cousin, and he's like, if you marry him, I won't talk to you again. You know, it's way more poetic than that, but I was like, that was nice.
I just can't get the image of the big pig with the big balls. That's what I think about.
It's the hand flex and the pig balls, right?
Yeah.
For you.
Dude, that hog,
How can
baby.
you say this movie is forgettable with the hand clench and the pig ball?
That's the only thing I don't remember the plot. Well, because the plot is
How can you
basically
not remember the plot?
Well, okay, let's get into my biggest qualm with this movie. It's too short. The relationship between Elizabeth and Mr. Darcy, especially by like today's standards, like I can't be invested in the conflict because they don't know each other, and so I don't care. Like they don't know each other. It happens too fast. They don't have enough scenes together. So the ending, when they're all being super sweet and like, you're my Mrs. Darcy, and they're like so hopelessly in love with each other now. I'm like, you guys have met like twice, and literally we as the audience don't know anything about this guy. Like he might be a fucking murderer.
So much plot development was in letters, and I'm like, oh, that's such a gapping device to create time and to like speed things along.
Yeah.
Is to have like narrative in written letter, which like functions just fine as a mechanism to move a plot along, and it doesn't bother me, but I definitely felt it in this movie. I totally saw like every time like they would read a letter and then ride off on a horse, I'm like, oh, that could have been like 3 scenes of actual character development.
Especially since it's like the time period, it's like a slower pace. You kind of like get into the atmosphere. They're very concerned about knowing all the families and knowing all the like the social intricacies of the time. And so like this, I could see this. There's a book better and like 5 hours long. This feels like the first third of a book plus the last chapter.
But I gotta say something, because I think you're thinking about love as it is today, right? And I think when you consider about what love is during that time, where they didn't kiss or really have any kind of connection until they are already married.
Yeah, he almost married
love
her weird husband.
Is viewed probably
weird cousin.
very differently. And these moments where he just got a conversation and they're challenging each other in a way that he's maybe never liked someone like that before. Like for them, that is love in that moment. So I don't hold the same, I guess, disbelief. You know what I mean? I'm not counting it as how I would fall in love nowadays. If all my connections with a significant other had to be chaperoned, I think I'd fall in love quite differently than I would now.
Oh yeah, that's totally. I do give that the benefit of the doubt just based on the time period for it, because that is the one thing that's like, oh, looking through this modern lens. But
are you saying you didn't fall in love with me at first sight?
Yeah, of course I did. I remember it vividly. In the hallway at Brockbank Junior High.
Exactly. So.
We were wearing a Lamb of God t-shirt, I remember.
It was just like that, yeah. You guys had a hand clench too?
I did, I hand clenched. It was intense.
Anyway.
I don't know. It's like, I just wish, like, it makes sense that this was a miniseries and a huge epic book.
That brings us to the miniseries. Mary,
Jordan.
have you seen the miniseries?
No.
That's the first time you've ever been asked that.
Yeah, Mary. Am I
I've never been asked that before in my
this
life.
this candid question?
I have not. I'm actually surprised that I've never seen it. But
I'd be down to watch it,
now
though.
I definitely do want to watch it. I'm curious, since obviously this movie, in my mind, is one of my epic romances, how the miniseries would be. So
I've heard it's incredible. It's like higher rated, and it's like an old BBC miniseries, which they crush it with that kind of stuff. I know watching it, I'll be more invested in the characters probably, because it's like the paced out in a different way. But it's a 90s BBC, so it's going to be shot the way I said that like it would normally be shot. Like it's going to be very just standard.
It's going to be shot like like probably just like sitcom style, like
Yeah.
3 on a set, with,
which
like,
is
2
fine.
cameras.
I've had the juicy cinematic version,
Well,
the
you know what
trimmed up version.
This made me feel like Denis Villeneuve's Dune, where it's the kind of the best of both worlds. It does the large beats of the movie, but it's more cinematic. The shot when she's like standing on the cliffside and stuff.
It's
It's
good.
sweeping.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. Yeah, it's super cinematic the whole time I'm watching it. The one thing about this movie is like score was kind of rough, but that's
Even though
kind
the
of fine.
score,
didn't
I thought
expect-
the score was so boring. I didn't think there was a score.
But it
And then,
didn't
like, at
bore
the
me.
end, I looked up I'm like, what is this movie nominated for at the time? Because it had to have been huge. And it got nominated for Best Score. And I was like, what? And then I started listening to the score more. And I'm like, oh, yeah, this is just there. But there's a lot of scenes with no score. And it's all, like,
It's the big
silent.
important moments, though. They do the score like on the cliffs. And
I
at
liked
the
it
end.
when it was
But
silent,
it reminds
you
me
know?
when you talk, hun, when you usually like tell me in a movie when like a big score or music comes on and you're like, oh yeah, tell me how to feel.
Yeah.
That definitely I feel like was a little
Yeah.
bit like the score for this movie, like the
Yes.
big.
They're trying to carry the
during
weight for the
but
relationship
I'm
I
fine
don't
with
care
it
about.
because I do want you to tell me how to feel in that moment, and I want to feel incandescently.
I need to
in
feel
love.
because the story can't make me feel. So thank you for the
What do you
score.
mean the story can't make you feel
Thank you.
heartless?
They have to have the score and the cinematography have to do all the heavy lifting and be like, all right,
no.
you should care about this relationship.
Mr. Darcy staring at her does enough of the work if you paid attention.
And I think that's no.
I'm the biggest
I'm like-
James McAvoy fan
Okay,
here.
So I had a fangirl watch this with me, and Victoria like loved the book and she loved this movie, and we watched it again, she was watching it again my first time, and she's like that guy, the Mr. Darcy, Matthew McFadden, she's like, he's not very good. And I feel bad because it's like when you watch this, I feel like when you watch this when you're younger, you get swept away in the romanticized version of this, and like in the book and everything. It's like I get like how sweeping and beautiful this is, but man, he just wasn't broody enough and wasn't like smoldering enough.
I think
for me.
that makes
Disagree.
he's pretty
I wanted
smoldery.
to
He's broody,
disagree.
but that makes
I
a
don't
good
know.
point.
I wasn't
that it-
tingling in my loins.
That it's like
Well, you don't have the right loins
The-
then because
you said, Mary, that the relationship was more, I should cut it more slack because it's indicative of the time period. But you know what else is indicative of the time period that works is like a more infantile version of what a woman is. Like everyone, like, at the time it's like, oh no, like it's just this guy, like he's just like this weird, like, I don't know, like it feels like it's supposed to, like she's obviously goes against the norm. Right, with like the way she is, like so outspoken and
a
everything.
little bit, yeah, a little
She
bit.
does.
I wouldn't say she goes too far, but a little
She's not
bit.
too far, so that's why I liked her though, is because she's kind of a little rebel, a little bit.
She's
just
still,
enough.
She's still in polite society, but
Yeah.
she definitely like.
But
she's a little quippy.
You're like, he's not broody enough. He's just like a guy. Like, yeah, he's just like the one guy. I don't know, like something about it feels not like a complex. Like that's the thing. The relationship is not complex.
Their relationship.
Their relationship is not that complex. It's
Listen, I think in that society, them challenge anyone, a female challenging him was probably unheard of.
You're right.
And you know what I mean? And like, I think their character development, that it was kind of that
Her
that
character
push
development.
back and forth. I mean, his character development,
I don't know
it
anything
wasn't
about him.
focused on him as much as it
Yeah.
was her and her family story. That's why you have all those other characters in it, right? Like they don't tell it from his
I
perspective.
want to hear his dark past because it's like everything you hear about him is like secondhand. Like, like his dad never loved him. That's why he broods, and he broods because he's really doing all this stuff. Everyone is like, oh, he's the one that she said that he did this and all that. And I'm like, I wanted to hear from his mouth. Like I was waiting for like the monologue when they were getting to know each other and be like, my father beat me, and all this, like all this crazy shit, like to get into his story. So I'm emotionally invested in that, but he just seems like sort of a blank slate. And I love Matthew McFadden. I was making the joke about James McAvoy earlier, but I love Matthew McFadden. He just won his Emmy. He's a great actor. And there are scenes in this where he's really good, but something about him, like he just gets blown away by Keira Knightley, I think. Like he's not
She does great, but like his
smoldery enough, like I think that you're saying.
But I don't think he was supposed to have such big like ups and downs. You know what I mean? Like,
No, he's supposed to be a mystery,
His moments was
and it kinda
supposed
worked.
to be those small moments. Like I think of his acting when she goes to his house or whatever in Pemberley, right? And like him talking to her there, like his acting in that scene was phenomenal. Phenomenal.
That was
snowman.
that was he was doing a lot with his like facial expressions.
like-
I mean, like when he was like ran out to her and was like, "Wait," and it's like I like how this everything is like a social cue. Like he subtly told her aunt and uncle that like, "Oh, that was my sister," and then it got through her. Like everything's like through the grapevine, which is
Oh,
complex.
sorry. And then the was it the mausoleum? Is that what we agreed that building was?
Oh yeah, the mausoleum scene. That was like the first big
mausoleum
one.
scene where he's like kind of angry with her too, but not. And then that like lean in, like that was some subtle ass broody man.
Him
shit
dripping in the rain. I
that
know. I was
don't
expecting.
feel like
I know.
everyone
coming
can
in the-
pull off that kind
Yeah.
of like subtlety, but actual acting. Like I think
I was-
sometimes
I
people
was
go
waiting
for
for-
subtle, and it's just totally like meh. But like his was good.
It felt like he was trying to put a lid on it, which is good. Like he felt like in character where like he wants to have a big moment, but he's trying to like I'm a nobleman, you know what I mean? And that's good. I think
And
those
it's
scenes
her
were
story at the end of the day. Yeah,
I
it's a
agree.
love story, but it's her story.
I agree with that. I just wait. I know that in the longer version in the book, if it's a relationship, I want to know like the building. Like they don't have, like they have this lust. Like I feel like if you told me that they fucking, well, obviously they wouldn't get a divorce in that time period. But if you told me that they fell out of love and like a month later, I wouldn't be surprised.
Never.
I would not be
Never.
surprised
How dare you?
because
How
I've
dare
only
you.
seen them together in love with each other like once.
They were meant to be.
So I mean, like the ending felt so jarring to me when he's just like, it was very cute and it did feel very like they're acting like I felt their chemistry when she's like, well, what should I say when I'm cross with you? No, and he's like, should I call you Mrs. Darcy? And she's like, only say it when you're the happiest you've ever been. And then he's all Mrs. Darcy, and he's like all kissing her nose and shit. It's
And then it was
super
the side
cute.
kisses, the like cheek and the nose. Okay,
It's-
take notes, gentlemen.
It's super cute,
Take
but that
notes.
chapter came like I feel like I missed an hour of movie.
You know how disgusting it was that like it just went like Joe right. The, like he's like in mid kiss and it just slam cuts to the credit of the director and I was like, ew. I wanted some black for just a minute.
Yeah, give me a second to breathe, Joe.
Be a fade out
I'm
there.
up. I don't want to
The title faded in over the kids.
Really, no, it really was. Like that was like one thing I noticed. Like it kind of drastically cut to his
Yeah, that's a
title
good
card,
point.
and I was like, oh god, because it's like it is. It's like that moment was like built. That's where it's like
Like
I
let
think
it
that's
land.
what-
It felt like
exactly.
rush.
That's my
like
whole,
the
that's
pacing.
whole
That's my thing.
That's my only gripe. Honestly, it's like acting and everything, and like even their relationship, like you said, for the time, and it really does.
When it feels genuine,
it-
the characters make it
yeah,
feel
it-
genuine. Like that's not
and
my
it, like,
problem.
I think like it's cool because they would be together with very little contact because it's like, you know, they there's not that many people they see and they're far away from each other and there's a lot of boredom, which this movie didn't really capture very well. They have that one scene before like the aunt comes over and she's technically like the antagonist, the aunt for Mr. Darcy who doesn't approve.
She
of
shows
their
up in the
love.
middle of the night and it's like, you fucking look gutter slut, you know? Don't
Yeah, and
you?
it's
Is there
like-
anything to this? You know?
Right. And that like scene before that like captures their like kind of boredom where they're like sitting around. And it's like, oh, this is nice. I wish we could get a little bit more of that. Like
Yeah.
that's where like Portrait of a Lady on Fire really captures like the boredom of like that time period
Yeah,
really well.
I think you would have liked that
you
movie,
know.
babe.
And so, but it's like, I don't know. Yeah, it's kind of this was nice. This
That's
was,
why I
like,
said
a
Little
really
Woman,
good
Little
Hollywood-
Women too, because
Hollywood
it's like
movie.
earlier on when they're just like living in the house in the time period. It's like they don't have. It's very like chill, like very much the environment. Like it's not chill because it's chaotic with all these family, but
Yeah.
it's like you're living you're living their life, and you're getting immersed in the time period and in the family dynamics. And there was a lot of that early on, and I liked that. So that's why I feel like that would really lend to. And like the writing is very much like he said, she said, through the grapevine, like Miss blah 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 blah. I heard a little bird say that you were engaged to my fucking nephew or whatever. Like that with like all the family dynamics and the boredom that comes with like and kind of like just like letting you chew on the scenery and having time to breathe. Like the back half, there was just like no, like let it breathe. You know what I mean? I think that title card is kind of like the biggest, like single thing quantifier that says like kind of my issue with it, where it's just like the super romantic moment and then it's like almost a smash cut to this, and it's just like it does feel rushed in the back half, and I know that's a problem with a lot of book adaptations. I feel like Like, it's an adaptation issue.
Yeah, it's just hard for me to like a movie that's 2.5 hours. For you guys to
It's
say
not 2.5 hours.
Isn't, like, long enough.
It's like
boggles my
2:10.
mind.
It's like
To be fair, I have not read the book, which is odd for me since I am such a romance reader.
How have you not read the book?
I know.
It's like
I need
literature-y, though. You know, I get it.
Yeah.
It was written apparently in the 1700s, which is basically older than America, so it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, I'm sure the book
Well,
has a lot more.
let's watch
context to it,
because Colin Firth is in the miniseries, and I like him. Let's watch the miniseries at some point. I'd watch it. I'd be down. It's like 6 episodes or whatever, hour apiece.
Mary, what was your favorite scene or shot?
Other than the hand clench, for fuck's sake, and the pig balls, which I know you can't stop fucking drooling about because they remind you so much of mine.
I mean, the hand clench is important, but if you're not allowing me to pick the hand clench, then
What's your second? Then we know the hand clench. Then
I mean, I think the mausoleum where he first asked her to marry him, but like in a totally offensive way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because that's like something we talk about culturally too. Like, oh, you're so Mr. Darcying it when someone like tells you how much they love you, but they say it in a bad way, right? So I do love that.
and it very much assumes his position of like I'm the man and I don't know how to
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, that scene,
It's a
and
good
then
scene.
obviously when they meet up at the house and they're walking in the field because she loves to walk and he walks to her, and that effort, and their like hair's windblown, and
It's
look
the
like
Terrence
themselves.
Malick moment. That's like what I was like.
The fact
thought it was all
this
all
movie
golden hour.
had such a good like soft film grain to it. It was nice because now you can't tell the difference. What you're saying, like nowadays, it's like Portrait of a Lady on Fire, First Cow again. It's like I thought those are all shot on film, and it's like seeing this movie in 2005. You know, I'm like, oh, like the film look is great. You know what I mean? Like, and that scene at the end with the like sunrise or whatever.
It's funny because you realize
Beautiful.
they don't kiss in that scene, which is just
They
kinda,
put their noses together, and I'm like,
no, they don't.
Yeah.
They just get close because they're not supposed to, right, or whatever. But it's just,
they're
I think
breathing.
it took me. I think I was like, one time I watched it, and I was like, oh shit, they don't kiss in that scene. In my mind, I said that they kissed. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're
that's
filthy up there,
understandable.
bud.
Well,
Yeah.
that's a good thing because I either think expectations. It's like I've always heard this is like the greatest love story of all time. I've seen the poster; they're like touching heads, and it's like I can't quit you. You know what I mean? But like that happens in the last 10 minutes.
I don't know why you said that. I can't quit you. Like it was.
It
Not
feels
I wish
that-
you would say that to me.
I say it to you like every day. You tell me like
Why
fucking.
can't you be as obsessed with me as Mr. Darcy?
I do. I hand clench like all the time, but it's the arthritis.
Mr. Darcy has nothing but time on his hands, though. That guy, what does he even do? That was like
know.
He's
the
just
thing
like
where
a.
He
Like,
runs
he's a count.
Pemberley.
He's what?
He runs Pemberley.
What does that mean?
What do lords do during that time? Right? They like
Torture peasants.
deal with taxes.
That's probably what he does.
of their little city people and make sure shit.
I'm
works
just
out. I
saying,
don't know.
he's got a torture
You're an
chamber that
expert.
he
A
doesn't
torture
like.
chamber?
He's not like directly involved with, but he goes down there just for a sec,
I
and
mean,
he
but
clenches
I
his hands.
Be against Mr. Darcy having a sex room. Like
No,
if we could.
it's the
make
people
this a
that
little
work for
50
him.
Shades included in his estate in Pemberley.
No, he's separated by a
Red
couple
room.
degrees.
I'd be into it.
Of a peasant getting tortured because they didn't pay their taxes to him on time. Like you go in and clench his hands and be like, "Yes, good job, Wilfram."
I don't even know what we're talking about anymore.
I'm just saying I don't know who
what?
he is. He could
You know
be a
what-
torturer.
You know what shot I really appreciated and was like, oh, I love this. Like this is actually turning into a decent film. Is when they showed the passage of time and Keira Knightley's on that swing.
Yeah, that was
Oh,
great.
yeah.
That
So good.
slow. It's that slow circle where you keep seeing that like courtyard area in their home, or that like little. I don't even know. It'd be kind of like a barn area, and like you keep seeing it change with the seasons. I really enjoyed that. I was like, oh, this is cool.
Well, that's
Yeah,
another
I think
movement.
to your
right?
point, to your point about like in the book or whatever it being a longer amount of time, I think that they tried to do that in the movie too, just like her, you know what I mean, looking in the mirror or those different types of things. Like they attempted to show time and going on in a cool way. So
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
that's where it's like I think that they did like with the limited time they had because do you know what I just learned recently that films get cut down to this 2 hours and 15-minute mark, like because that's so it gets it gets an extra playtime in theaters. So when it gets released, so that's like a lot of studios.
It fits
cut
into
movies
like
down
the
to
schedule
that
of like
to-
the showings.
Fits into the schedule.
That's why there's only like
so
3
hard-
showings, like Killers of the Flower Moon. You know.
Right, 100%. That's why it's so hard to get a movie approved over 2 hours and like 15 minutes. Because I think it's like 2:17 or something is like the sweet spot where you can get that extra play in theaters. And so I'm like, I was like kind of like well aware of that in this, and I'm like, I guarantee you, this movie was like an extra 45 minutes.
I imagine
longer.
like a director's cut,
yeah.
like a close to 3 hours director's cut would be
I
like
Right, I think
watch
primo.
a director's cut for sure.
Yeah, me too.
Right. And I wonder if there's one out there. Everyone in podcast land, go to r/coldest of knowledge. Let us know if you know if there's a director's cut out there and you've seen it.
Good plug.
I'd love to hear it.
We don't like to use Google. We like to rely on Clones or Pizza
Yeah.
2 to tell us everything because he's the only person that likes us.
Really though, yeah. Or like our few Reddit users,
Come,
we love
if
you.
you listen to this, come tell us if you know if you're a diehard Pride and Prejudice fan. You ought to know.
I don't. So that's the thing though.
Because you're not a film person.
I don't
That's
film.
why.
I don't study or like pay attention to who's in things. I just like a story and like a story. You know what I mean? That's the difference between me and you and how we watch a movie.
Mary, did you see this in theaters?
I don't think so.
Oh. When
I would have liked
to
to see this.
How old was I in 2005?
You're 14.
Like 14, yeah, 14, 15, yeah.
Okay. I don't know. I don't think I did. I don't know when I first saw it.
I remember when this was in theaters. I didn't have any interest though.
Yeah. No, I remember, but like I said, I thought it was like Jude Law or whatever his name is, dude. I did not know who this guy was.
The first time I saw Donald Sutherland, and I was like, never mind. I was like, I could not get any of the actors right in this, even though it's because I'm losing it. My mind is turning to mush.
It was Keira Knightley was the only one because like I don't know. Her mouth is 3 mouths.
I had to after I realized it was also Keira Knightley in Pirates of the Caribbean. I was like, then what the fuck is Rachel Weisz in? And she's in The Mummy, and that's why I'm like,
oh yeah.
I don't know why I was getting them mixed up, but it was like
She's forgettable to me.
she's in other stuff, but it's like she's in The Jacket, which I always think of, but
Mummy's a big one.
yeah. Mary hates The Mummy. We should do another adventure thing.
I don't hate the Mummy.
I know, I was
What
kidding.
makes you think so?
No, The Mummy's great. I think you probably like The Mummy, right?
I did like the Mummy. I remember liking the Mummy. I haven't seen it in ages, but
It's been a while. Anyway.
Do we have any Reddits or
Yeah. While I look, we got 1 or 2 Reddits. And
you want a little money minute on this guy?
I'm curious to what this cost.
It was I mean that the budget was pretty modest. It was 28 mil.
That is modest. I would have guessed more than that. I would have guessed like 50.
Really? I don't know. It's like it's kind of
Just from the film and stuff, like, you know, like
I mean, sure, yeah, film,
like
but
the
I feel
pedigree
like
period piece, you know what I mean?
and the ensemble too. Like this.
Well, yeah,
they shot this in 3 months. It was a tight
wow.
movie. Yeah, they brought everybody in. Like every actor came on set at one time, which is pretty cool. And then they stayed at that house and did like all principal photography there. And then they went to other like estates and stuff that are popular filming locations throughout London, England. I don't know. I don't even remember. Yorkshire. I don't know any of these places. Like Isle of Dogs or some shit like that. It's like, I don't even know. It really
That's
is.
a
It's like
movie.
called something like that. I mean, that's a great movie, but there's a place.
There's a place called Isle of Dogs.
Isle of Dogs.
There's Isle of Man is the thing.
Yeah.
Isle of Man.
Where with that pretty, I honestly call that a modest budget.
It's pretty.
for
I
what
think it's fairly
film is.
conservative for a big epic period piece. Honestly,
Yeah.
Under 30
Especially,
mil?
like, yeah, under 30 mil.
in the
especially
21st century, like that's not that long ago.
The early 2000s too.
It's almost
we were
20
like,
years though.
These kind of rom-coms were getting a little bit more money, but I feel like that's kind of indicative of the time. But it grossed a lot of money. It made 143 million.
Yeah.
Like worldwide. That's crazy. It did great.
That's a huge return for sure. And I'm sure it did like. There's the chicks like you that watched it like 13 times. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Just bought the
Well, then you have
DVDs
to watch it over and
many
over.
times, handed out as
Oh, yeah, I
Christmas
can
gifts and shit.
100%. Yeah, I mean, yeah, this probably did great. I wonder, it's like, I've thought about that where it's like movies that were in the like blockbuster era, like what, I wonder where they were. Like, because home video is such a small window. Like, that's such a wild, we should do a bonus episode on home video because it didn't come out until like the 80s. And then it died in like 2009 what, 10 maybe? I don't know.
Yeah,
When,
she worked at Blockbuster shortly after this movie came out, like probably like what,
wasn't
2007?
shortly after,
Like 2007?
No, it was after I graduated. It was
After you graduated high school?
Yeah, it was
I thought you were there during high
like
school.
2010 or something like that.
Still though.
I worked actually.
You
I think
probably
the
rented
year,
this movie.
The year after I quit there, they went out of business. Blockbuster did, so like right before they ended.
Yeah, around 2010 then, right?
Yeah, that sounds right.
Because damn, see, that's crazy, man. It's that's a short lifespan, and it was such a huge boon in the movie industry. Gave them a lot of extra money.
It's true. Now we don't even know what we're doing. So I got 2 Reddits, but this first one only makes sense because I said in my post that this is the most popular version. Oh, I did put Keira Knightley. What the fuck am I talking about? I need a lobotomy.
We don't know. We don't know actors. We've never seen a movie. This is our first one.
Yeah. Like I told you many times, I just read the Wikipedia and then I come do the podcast. I don't watch movies. So Late Night with Jay says, this is a personal favorite of mine. I was wondering what makes it the most famous version. It was my recollection that the BBC version of Pride and Prejudice is the most popular because of being a faithful adaptation of the book. Thanks for that comment, because if it wasn't for that comment, I probably wouldn't have dug much deeper, because this is the only version I had ever really heard of. It's always the one I see, and I wrote back that it was the most popular. It's got like by far and away way more ratings on IMDb. It's got like over 300,000, where the BBC one has got under 100,000, but it's way higher like voted. It's like an 8.9 or something on IMDb, the BBC version. So if anything, this like brought it to the forefront of my mind more, and so I'm like,
it's obviously the more accessible.
Well, I don't know.
Yeah.
This one, the 2005 Keira Knightley one, is the more accessible.
That's
one.
what I said.
Yeah, it is.
Right.
So this is like the BBC one. It's for the fans. So that's what we go.
Yeah.
Since you're a fan, and
I mean, and like we're a U.S. based
makes sense. That
like,
it's probably
film. We're film consumers. We watch a lot more American-made films, especially in the 2000s. Like
yeah, I can count the amount of BBC shows I've watched on like one hand. You know what I mean? So
right.
And then Clones of People 2 says, first watch of this, but I'm aware of the story and had an idea what it was about. Honestly, this is the type of film that I would not watch often, and came into this thinking I might find it dull. However, it turned out to be quite good. The story itself is a classic, and while the characters and themes were rich, I felt there was definitely a lot of added detail that were missing from the book. The film was really technically very well made, especially in the large set pieces. The camera movement and character blocking was so fluid and helped bring the world to life. There were some really nice touches too, like the scene where they are dancing in the crowd and they are briefly alone. Oh yeah, that was great. I forgot that, like the shot where it's like then they're dancing and the crowd goes away. I loved that. I wish they did more kind of stuff like that. That was great. That made me feel more than like I was like, oh, they're zeroed in. They're really in the moment with each other, and so am I as the audience. And he goes on to say, the acting was also great, and combined with the editing, really made for some intense one-on-one scenes. Overall, this was pretty good. A lot to like. Given the theme of epic romance, I would recommend Memoirs of a Geisha.
I've seen that a long time ago. I don't remember it well enough.
I don't. Same. That's what I said. I commented back to him. I was like, I've seen that around when it came out, but I do not remember it at all. But I remember kind of liking it. I think I'd probably like it more now.
You guys should add that to a choice.
That's what I said. I said I'll find a way to work it onto a poll eventually.
It won't be in my choices, but
well, I know, because we're moving. We're not doing a whole month of epic romance. Thank God.
Okay.
I say my tiny shriveled Grinch heart can only take so much love. Mm-hmm. All the love I have is just to give to you. Okay. I can't spare it for fucking James McAvoy's wannabe lookalike.
I know.
Just kidding.
Right?
James McAvoy's too short. He's a little short. He's a little shrimp boat. Anyway, thanks for the guys that commented.
Some good
insightful.
Yeah.
Well,
I was thinking of.
Formed comments, and everyone that voted. Hip hip hooray! Keep doing that. Keep bringing the vote. If you're this 50 minutes into this podcast, so it's like, if you made it this far, you probably do vote. I don't know. There's a weird separation, I think, sometimes, like the votes and then the people who comment and stuff.
Well, it's probably much easier to vote.
It is.
Well, are we? Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I understand if you don't come onto Reddit, that's fine. But I think give it a try. Come on to Reddit and see what's happening. It's
a film
little
club.
community here.
It's spread out over the week. People have the knee jerk reaction when they see the post, but then it's just like we watch it over the weekend, and then we talk about it usually Tuesdays. Today's Tuesday for us, so
Yeah.
whatever day it is for you, I don't know. Anyway, I don't have anything else to say about this movie really. Like, I honestly know I talked a lot of shit. I think it's pretty good though. I was gonna give it 3.5 stars on Letterboxd. I haven't done it yet, but
It's a 5-star for me.
definitely
just
not.
I mean, Mary, arguably all of these movies are going to be 5-star movies for you this month.
And that's fine. I mean,
and that's great.
That's
I love having you pick all the movies for the month.
And here's the thing, babe. 100%. Like I had said before, like, art is subjective, but like there are things that are objective as far as like craft goes. And this movie is incredibly well made. I have basically no problems with the filmmaking. My problem is 100% subjective, that I can't. Like, I just don't relate to the story as heavily, and that's a me thing. You know what I mean? It's just like, it's a me thing. I think I would have been more invested if it was like a longer paced, but on its own, it's not poorly paced or anything. It does. I mean, I think the ending's a little rushed, but like, that's minor. But like I said, it's like a 3-hour cut of this. I think I would have been much more pleasant for me, much more lasting of an impact for me.
I really wish we had more Keira Knightley, honestly. Like, I wish that she's a really good actress, and she was, like, killing it in this. Like, she definitely was my favorite part of this whole movie, and, like, all of her scenes, I'm like, oh, this is fun. She's, like, smart and witty, and I'm like, I feel like there's more dialogue in the book that they didn't really use in this, because they've made it cinematic, and so you can use, more dimensions in cinema, and so I feel like that they shot a lot more longing looks and used, the powers of cinema to evoke emotion. But I almost kind of wish there was more dialogue, and that's probably what the BBC version has. So
I bet
I'm a little worried that if I read the book now, it might ruin parts of the movie for me. You know what I mean? So that's maybe.
I don't
you just think of it as like an expanded, a separate adaptation. We'll see.
Yeah. Are you ready for next month? What was your
next month? You mean next week
or next week? Yeah, next week.
Yes, I am. I have some comments to make about that, because I realized that you didn't comment on the poll, babe, and say like why I picked those selection of movies.
I don't know why you picked them.
Well, tell us now.
I just put the theme. I put the theme on.
These are what my wife picked. You didn't put that these were like specific.
Yes, I did.
No, you didn't put that they were specific for me because as a social worker that they fueled my social worker heart.
Oh my God,
you
yes,
didn't
I did,
pick at
dog.
all that they took social worker
what he
things.
wrote.
I wrote
I
it.
did not see that today.
She calls this her movies that fuel my social worker heart category.
Oh, maybe I just don't know how to use Reddit.
Yeah.
That was the first. Yeah,
it's because you didn't open the post.
That's why. You can't see it, I guess, unless you open the post. But who opens the post?
Everyone that votes.
Everyone. I do.
I didn't see it, guys. I don't even know if I
they
get
fuel.
on my Reddit.
They fuel her social. Like, look, the post isn't even open now. There it is.
And Mary, so you know what won? A movie that I've actually never seen.
You've never seen it either? Society? Me neither.
I've been outed. I've never seen Dead Poet Society because I know all about it. It's like Spank Me Harder, Master.
That's so weird. Who's gonna click on that? I don't have to click on the post to vote.
I know, but you can see all the links if you click on the post.
Yeah, but you don't have to. So I don't think people do that very often anyway. So I don't think that it's really clear that that's why I chose these movies.
Well, thank you. Yeah, thank you for clarifying.
Yes, all of them have something to do that fueled my social worker heart, which is why I wanted to explore those movies. I'm actually surprised Dead Poet Society won this.
Me too.
I kind of thought some of the other ones would, but now that I think that they know, they didn't think it was social work related and just were which movie do I want to watch? Now
No, people don't read that anyway. No,
we do not know, Mary. We cannot figure out how people vote.
No, sometimes it makes no fucking sense.
Do you think it has something to do with Taylor Swift? Because have you guys seen that she just announced this week her new album that's Tortured Poets Department?
No, God, don't bring up Taylor Swift. I hope not.
So, and then Dead Poets Society won on the. And I'm just people are thinking about it because of it. I wonder if it has something to do with it.
Dead Poets Society was on a poll like a couple months ago, but instead, Good Will Hunting won or something.
Yeah, right.
And so I think maybe some people were because I was rooting for Florida Project. Just because
I voted for.
Yeah.
I voted for Short Term 12.
that was the underdog, I think, short-term 12 for sure. But I'm glad that Dead Poets Society, because it's like it's a little bit older one, and it's like obviously Jordan and I have never seen it, so that'd be a good
cool that you guys haven't.
That'd be a good one to knock off the list. I mean, we've never seen this one either, which is Dead Poets Society is kind of surprising. Pride and Prejudice is not that surprising that we haven't seen it, but Dead Poets Society is definitely one that's been on my list for a long time. So we'll see. You said it's a lot like Good Will Hunting.
No, I said it's a lot like The Holdovers.
Oh, The Holdovers. That is what you were saying.
Lot. Like when I watched The Holdovers, I was like, man, this is such Dead Poets Society vibes.
Yeah, go listen to that episode.
Okay.
The Holdovers.
I like that, Mary. I'm excited.
That might win the fuck. That's got a lot more Oscar love this year, so we'll see.
Definitely will not win the Oscar, but yeah.
Who knows? Just kidding.
Well,
it won't.
A million years, but
it's gonna be Oppenheimer. We all
and
know.
then obviously, then 1 week I'm gonna do my favorite movie, and then I'm debating on another week doing either movies that I haven't seen that I want to see.
Should do that.
Or if I'm gonna do just like really big movies that like have made me cry or like felt. So I don't know. I'm deciding on that.
If you could think of 5 movies that you want to see that you haven't seen that you really want off your list, because we wanted to do something like that. I would like to do something like that.
See, that's hard because I just read instead of watching movies or TV nowadays. So
well, now you're the podcast host of the Cult of Cinema Knowledge podcast. You run the whole thing, so now you gotta watch more movies. Get on Letterboxd.
All right. Well, how long do you guys make these things?
This is enough.
yeah, we've done it. Thanks for.
We're gonna sit and talk.
Thanks for running this whole thing. I'm glad I can be your co-host.
I know. Yeah, thanks for
watching Pride and Prejudice, guys.
Thanks for coming on.
About it.
Oh, I'm gonna mention also. Probably put something on the actual thing. I apologize, not in advance. I apologize at the end if you made it through here, because most likely, I've been watching these waveforms while we've been recording. There's definitely gonna be some audio issues, so just stay tuned.
Yeah.
As far as like spikes, like there's gonna be it's gonna be hard to mix it because I'm dealing with a new fucking program. So we'll see. Maybe it'll be great, and I just am self-deprecating, so who knows?
Yeah, they don't care, honey. It's fine.
They care.
Mary's
David cares. David always is like he quit listening to him because he hates the way my gurgly sound.
This would be so ridiculous if I edited this.
I know you're just taking over. You're the producer now, please. I would love it. Can you be our like social media outreach? Yeah, you got time. Quit reading.
Great. You know how? Oh my gosh, yeah. I need to start cross-posting on Reddit.
She's like, oh, I see something, and I'm like, oh, I can. That needs to be better organized. I'm like, come organize my fucking life. Come organize all this for us. That'd be great. You'd be a great like producer.
I would be a great producer. I just
checks in the mail. You know, we could pay you because our sweet patrons out there, everybody who is subscribed and goes to Patreon, we thank you.
Yeah, our few patrons are great, and if they actually listen to this, that'd be great.
Go Patreons.
Go Patreons. I think they're playing the Super Bowl this weekend. All right.
Thank you guys.
All right, that's enough.
Bye.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh no, I erased everything.
I hope so.